September 7th, Thursday, 1:20 Mountain Time, 2017. Cat 5, Hurricane Irma. We saw this coming over a week ago. Posted a video online, and sure enough, our math, it wasn't just a wild guess, our math did come true. Turned into a Category 5, not only a Category 5, a world record-setting Category 5. This thing had 185-mile-an-hour sustained winds for 35 hours straight. No other storm in recorded history, and that includes super typhoons in the West Pacific, have ever done that. So that storm is very unique. It's still very big. It's still a Category 5. It's now heading into some of the warmest waters on Earth near a very densely populated area. That is a terrible combination. Here's something I want you guys to consider. First of all, listen to your local officials. If they tell you to evacuate, evacuate. This is a very unique storm, okay? It's not like even Hurricane Charley, okay? I was in Florida during Hurricane Charley, and there were some people that didn't evacuate. In fact, Charley caught us by surprise. It was supposed to hit Tampa. It hit Punta Gorda and came right up into Orlando. Did a lot of damage in Orlando. But you know, it was one of those storms that was unique in its own way. It made a hard right-hand turn in the last 3 hours, maybe 4 hours, and came right at Orlando. And we weren't really prepared for it. Once that thing made landfall down here, the grocery store's shelves emptied in less than 2 hours. Gas stations ran out of gas. I actually saw a gentleman at a gas station here in the Orlando area with a generator in the back of his truck. In broad daylight, once this storm was officially headed towards Orlando, somebody tried to take his generator out of the back of his truck in broad daylight. Needless to say, he didn't get away with it, but I actually saw that happen. There was all kinds of madness. So I'm telling you, expect it, but here's something I want you to consider. Listen to your local officials, especially in the Miami area, because there's going to be some significant water go that direction. This storm is very big. It's 3 times as wide as Florida is across. It's over, what, 500 miles or right at 500 miles wide? 515 miles. Florida is 130 miles across. So it's 3 times as wide as the state of Florida. So when it comes up here, it's going to affect the entire state, at least wind-wise. Miami is going to be a unique situation because it sits right at sea level. I know Hollywood deals with some flooding issues, Fort Lauderdale. All of these areas here are probably going to experience flooding. I'm talking about inland, and I'm talking about the West Coast. Look for power outages. I know with, or watch out for power outages. I know with Charley, it knocked out power to tens of thousands of people just in this area here. In some cases, I knew people that were 3 weeks without power, and they brought in trucks from all over the eastern United States. Crews from Kentucky, New Jersey, Texas, Tennessee, North Carolina, Louisiana, all over the place. And it still took 3 weeks, which is actually pretty quick considering the widespread damage in that area. Well, what if you had that type of damage all over the entire state? One thing I want you to know, when the power was out here in, isolated pockets, the area I was in was spared because the power was underground. If you go outside right now, anywhere you live here in the state of Florida, look around. If your power is above ground on a pole, you're susceptible to power outages. I'm telling you right now, it can happen. Not only were the houses without power, grocery stores were without power, gas stations were without power, schools were without power. Everything stopped. So that's something that you need to consider and expect it. Because if this storm gets up into South Florida and stays on its current track, then there are going to be widespread power outages statewide. And that's just in one state. This is going to affect Georgia and South Carolina. possibly North Carolina. It depends on which model you look at. And again, all of that is subject to change, but we're pretty certain now that it is going to affect Florida for sure. So be prepared for long-term power outages. You're in a subtropical climate. It's very hot. It's very humid. Keep in mind that if you don't have power, chances are the supermarkets don't have power. You're not going to be able to get gas. Do those things now. Prepare for long-term power outages because they could and probably will happen in places. And it's going to take a long time to repair because it's such a widespread area. Charley wasn't that big, and it made a direct impact on Orlando. In fact, it was probably a little bigger than the Orlando and the Orlando metropolitan area. It really was not that big of a storm compared to this thing. Charley was probably about that big right there. But it packed a punch. I mean, it came in with a strong wind, and it maintained strength all the way up to Orlando. Went from a 4 to a 2, I think. But anyway, that's just something to consider, guys. This storm is going to be, it already is one for the record books. And if it does make a Miami or near Miami landfall, they're going to see tremendous flooding. That's why they're evacuating people right now, because this is a record-setting storm. A big cat, Cat 5 IRMA, headed towards Florida. Thanks for watching, guys, and be safe out there.